Race Quest Body and Mind presents.
Good evening. My name is Ray Dwyer, and I am your host of Dr. Joe Dispenza's Meditation and Book Discussion Group. And tonight we are discussing Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, Chapter 1. We're going to discuss first a couple items in the foreword and introduction before we actually get to the chapter, because it pretty well defines the book. Over here on the opening page of the foreword, it says page XI. He defines the book. In Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, my colleague, Dr. Joe Dispenza, is your guide to optimize both the hardware and software of your brain to help you reach the new state of mind. And that's the purpose. That's the goal, is to get a new state of mind. Remember, this is called Breaking the Habit of Being Me. I've nicknamed this for my personal use, my Change Me book, because this is the book that I used to change me. And you'll hear more about me and my story as we go through. Most of us have had trauma of some kind in our lives and live with the day-to-day scars that have resulted in. Cleaning out those experiences that have become part of the brain structure can be incredibly healing. And that's what this is about, is to learn how to let go of the things that we're holding on like this and that have been a burden to us all our life. And we're learning to change me, change your mind. One of the most exciting lessons I've learned is that people can literally change their brains and change their lives by engaging in regular brain healthy habits, such as correcting negative beliefs and using meditative process, such as those discussed by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Do you know when you change your ideas, you literally change the neural networks in your brain? We'll read that as we go through the book. And first time I heard that, I said, say what? I thought the brain was fixed. No, the brain is very dynamic. It changes with everything you learn. All right, in the introduction, over on page XVII, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself is a product of one of my passions, a sincere effort to demystify the mystical so that every person understands that we have within our reach all we need to make significant changes in our lives. Now, the part of that sentence that I underlined out of this whole introduction is a sincere effort to demystify the mystical. I am not here to take you on a mystical journey. I am here to demystify that mystical journey. I am here to show you that this incredible thing that we're going to be talking about is a human experience. You all seen Dr. Joe's videos probably. He goes around the planet to every culture and is received with joyous accolades for the revealing healings that he can do. Why? Because it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. This is a human experience. And if you do the work, you'll get the promise. I made a friend of mine and I did a podcast to interview to get all my story because it's quite a story. And I named it The Work and the Promise. You do the work, you get the promise. And that was what I hung to that first year when I did this all by myself. I had the book and I had my chair and I went at it. And I got my healing here, not in the conference, not under some guru, not under some healer, here by myself. I did the work and I got the promise. And that's what I want you to understand, that this is so human that this old guy can do it all by himself in his chair without ever meeting another Dr. Joe person. Okay, so I invite you to experiment with everything that you learn in this book and to objectively observe the results. Please prove it. Don't try to prove me wrong. Try to prove me right. And you'll find that I'm right a lot. Oh, yeah, on the next page. Letting go of the outmoded and embracing the new sounds easy, but let me point out to you, I am not saying it's easy. In fact, I'll be the first to say it took hours and a lot of time and often many tears to let go of the anger that used to compel me to get my healing. So let's begin chapter 1, the quantum you. Sounds like I need a drum roll with a title like that. Can I use my mind to create my reality? If so, is that a skill that we can learn and use to become who we want to be and create the life we want to experience? There's a word here I underlined that I want you to be very aware of because I'm going to make an issue out of it. If so, is that a skill? What is a skill? First of all, a skill doesn't ring a bell that's mystical. No, a skill is something you first learn the rules, second, you practice until you master it and make it a skill. Yes, this work is a skill. It's so human. It's a skill that takes practice to achieve. So don't get, oh, I can't learn anything. No, no. I said this is human. There's no college degrees required. It's just time sitting in a chair and learning and letting go. I wrote on the side of my note here, if you approach this book by comparing it to what you know, which you will change, which will you choose? That's what I meant. In other words, if you come to this thinking, okay, I've got all this education in my past, I've studied all these other teachers, let's see what Dr. Joe says, and I'll compare what he says to what I've learned. Let me ask you to come to this work and just learn the work. I know that it's normal to compare, but but the problem with comparing is that you're putting one ahead of the other or this one ahead of that one, and you're constantly trying to see who's on first. Try to come to this a little bit cleaner because I'm telling you, Dr. Joe's approach came at me from the nothing. And I took a lot of other schools trying to overcome the things I was dealing with. And I had to just give them all up and just try to figure out what it was that Dr. Joe was teaching. And once I quit comparing and just took his studies uniquely by themselves, then I made bigger progress and my head started getting lessons. So let me suggest to you to do that. Some of you have great deal of history in the mystic arts. I recognize that. That's why you're fascinated with Dr. Joe's work. Some of you have no history at all. That's okay. This work is human again. I am going to take you from step 1 all the way through some wild stuff. Like I said, and you'll hear me say it again, please just allow the work. Always, in order to change, we have to come to a new understanding of self and the world so that we can embrace new knowledge and have new experiences. There it is. You have to come at this new. Further down on page 4. I'm sure you've heard that before, but I wonder whether most people really believe this statement on a gut level. If we truly embrace the notion that our thoughts produce tangible effects in our lives, wouldn't we strive to never let one thought slip by us? We are going to become very cognizant, very aware of our daily thoughts, and we're going to learn how to change them. I went through it. I did this. You're talking to somebody that didn't just study this book. I did this. And I got the healing because of it. And that's why I'm here. Think about it. If you really knew that this principle was true, would you ever let a day go by without working it? Test it. Don't read it. Please don't make this a philosophy where you read the book and you go, oh, there's some good stuff, and put it on a shelf. You're missing out on a life-changing stuff. Until you break from the way you see your present reality. Boy, that is easy to say, but it is almost that is the single hardest project of this book. Until you break away from the way you see your present day reality, how in the world do you do that? This chapter just might test your willingness to abandon ideas that have, in a sense, been programmed into you for many years on a conscious and subconscious layer. We have been programmed from the time our little minds as an infant start recording. We have been programmed into separation, dependence, and I'm going to help you change some of those programs. It took me numerous readings for this statement. In fact, if you begin to embrace this new outlook, your very makeup as a human being will change. It is my wish that you will no longer be the same person you were when you began. How's that for a bold statement?
Good.
I can tell you that didn't happen overnight. In fact, I can tell you that didn't happen for months. But when it happened, I am not the person that I started with. you would get, yeah, it's big. According to the classical Newtonian physics model, all things were considered solid. For example, energy could be explained as a force to move object, but as you will see, energy is much more than an outside force exerted on material things. Energy is the very fabric of all things material, and is responsive to mind. Now, I grew up in my education saying that matter is matter and energy is energy. Now, through the quantum U, I learned that matter is energy and energy is energy. In fact, all that is energy. And energy is responsive to your mind, consciousness, when you gain the skill to use it. That is no small statement, but that is science. There's nothing woo about that statement. The conscious mind is a conscious energy field and can influence the energy about it. Wasn't too long ago that I would have thought that anything near that statement would have been mystical. You know, that's for the mystics with robes and pillows and living in it. No, that is the human experience, and we all do it. We all do it in hidden ways. That is how human it is. About 200 years after, I'm over on page 8. About 200 years after Newton, Albert Einstein produced his famous equation E equals mc squared, demonstrating that energy and matter are so fundamentally related that they are one and the same. Let me decode that. Everybody's heard E equals mc squared. That means energy equals mass accelerated times the velocity of light squared. Very few people ever thought to turn it around. You put just a little bit of algebra on that, and instead of E equals mc squared, M equals E divided by c squared. I did a little algebra, and that's a balanced equation. So let me interpret that. E equals mc squared means energy equals or is the same as mass accelerated. M equals energy c divided by c squared means mass equals energy slowed down. So the difference between what we think of as energy and mass is only the difference of frequency. Now you sit there quietly looking at me and I'm going, what? That was so big to me when I really realized that exactly everything is energy. It's just a matter of degrees of frequencies. And if you've ever heard Dr. Joe talk about, well, change your frequency. And it's like, what? All these dots start connecting to in my head. Like, oh, I'm changing my base matter energy frequencies to a higher consciousness level frequency. Why? Because I can choose, because I'm consciousness and everything else is frequency, and I get to choose the frequency. Say, what? That's huge. But we do it all the time. You ever been in a depression? No, not you guys. You guys are really spiritual people. You don't get depressed. But being an old Army vet, part of my past is I'm an Army vet, and for many years I was in cancer care at the military VA for cancer and PTSD. I know what darkness feels like. So I know what that really low, ugly energy feels like. And man, talking about base, gee whiz, I know what that feels like. And to be able to become a different person with higher energy frequencies that lives a life in my mind like I do now, amazing. And my body's the same. Well, it heals and stuff like that. But, I've got a new frequency. Isn't that cool? That's what this says. We are all energy, and energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just changes form, changes frequency. Everybody can do this because you have a consciousness. Then the next few pages of the chapter 9 and 10 talk about the classic model of the atom and the physics and how now the quantum model is that it has the center, the nucleus, and a field of probability. You ever hear Dr. Joe talk about out of the infinite potential? Because energy is a field of probability, because everything is just not really there, because it's blinking in and out, blinking in and out. Oh, that's another really crazy thing I'll talk about in a minute. Think about this. Everything physical in your life is not solid matter. Rather, it's all fields of energy or frequency patterns of information. All matter is more nothing than something. This body that we have, this life expression that we have, all this stuff around us is literally blinking in and out very, very fast of existence. It just seems to be persistent. And that was really cool to me. So we really are a consciousness expressing our consciousness in our body, which is energy, expressing itself in this field of energy called the universe. It's all energy. Now, I'm making a point of this because when you do the paradigm shift in your mind that you are energy in a field of energy, instead of I am in a body trying to be divine, I am in a body trying to be mystical, it's a whole different paradigm shift. You start with the truth. This is true. You really are a field of energy. That's where you start. I am a being of energy. I'm an energy being. Why? Now you change your question. Instead of I am in this matter, how do I get up there? I am already there. What is it impeding what I want to do. Instead of trying to achieve something, you're trying to let go of stuff. That's the point. And it's a big point, and I'll talk about that all year long because it is so life-changing when you really start going from I'm trying to achieve to I am already there. Now I'm trying to let go of the stuff that's in my way. You with me? And that's what it says here in the first chapter. It gives hints to that. And we will be hinting on this all year long because it is life-changing when you understand I am an energy being. Anybody ever heard those affirmations when you say I am, I am, I am? Here's one on the page 10. I already am an energy being. When you really get that, your paradigm of life, and how you improve your life changes. Because for so much of our lives, we are trying to achieve a higher and higher life. We're trying to get there. What if we just start with the paradigm, I am already an energy being, and that's a true statement. What is in my way? What am I holding on to that's keeping me from expressing that? Now the exercise is an exercise of letting go. See what I'm saying? I think it's a pretty cool idea.
Start with the realization.
Okay, that seems like a good point to stop and have a question. Karina.
Yeah, so for me, I really this is a key point. Like we are trying and trying and trying to be better and better and better, and I think that to me it was huge what Dr. Joe says on page 5. Wouldn't we focus our attention on what we want instead of continually obsessing about our problems? So that was me for sure before I started this work, because I thought if I solve this problem, then everything is going to be great. If I solve the next problem, then everything is going to be fantastic, and it just brought more problems. So I just wanted to point out this little thing that for me was huge.
Right. Yeah, I found in me, my healing came when I learned to let go. What a paradigm shift. I thought healing came when I achieved. No, I am already an energy being. I'll add to that description as we go through. My healing came when I let go of all the things that kept me from being healthy. The stuff we hold on to. You guys know what I'm talking about. So anybody want to talk about or bring up anything about that little comments about the energy and that you already are, always have been energy beings? And that energy, that our bodies are an expression of that energy. Our energy being is not an expression of our body. Our body is an expression of the energy being.
I have a question.
Sure. Oh, please, everybody, so I know who's talking and stuff like that. Please raise your hand so I can greet you. Go ahead.
Sorry, my name is Feroza. I'm trying to, maybe I'll raise my hand. Yeah. So you mentioned that uh, once you have that understanding that I'm an energy being, you let go of anything that's holding us behind from being a better version of ourselves.
Well, I didn't say it quite right then. Once I realized I was an energy, I began to let go, and it made the change different in my mind. Then I learned that the process of healing was a process of letting go. I didn't just, okay, I'm all better now. I wasn't that good. I had to let go in steps and steps because we're compelled to hold on to our traumas. But the process changed from me trying to achieve being good Now I realized I am already an energy being, and I'm letting go of what's interfering. I'm letting go of the angers, the unforgiveness, the pain. I'm letting go of that. And as I let go of that, my body heals.
How do you differentiate? Because, for example, I'm in a state of I'm in an interesting state where I'm like a bit frustrated with everything. So how do we know that if you're letting go, or if you're like, I'm done, I just don't care about this anymore?
Wow, that is actually that is actually a lot to that question. First of all, to get to that point, Dr. Joe, as we'll cover later, Dr. Joe says you can't fix a problem with the same mind that caused the problem, right? I think Einstein said it first, and Dr. Joe quotes him or something, but Dr. Joe says it numerous times in his teachings. So you begin by working your way through the meditations and learning how to get out of this stress mind that we live in. Once you get out of the stressed mind, you're in your higher consciousness. You're in your lower energy, your lower brain frequencies, and your consciousness can do more. You're out of this stress mind, and now you can start choosing different choices. You're out of survival. As long as you're fighting survival, you're using survival tools. For instance, I had a conversation with someone, and they were talking about saying, I am joyful, I am joyful, I am joyful. And I asked them, how's that working for you? And they said, that's because you're using your analytical survival mind to create joy in your life. And you're having to achieve it, work for it, and earn it.
And it does not even feel through. It's like, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. Like, like, forget others. We troll our own selves by being like, oh yeah, you're joyful, yeah, with that face, you're joyful, being grumpy.
That's my point. You have to go into that other mind. Once you learn through meditation, the practice that we will learn over the next weeks and months, you will learn how to get into your higher mind where joy and love and gratitude is a natural expression. Now, from that expression, you go, I am grateful. And you can feel the tension about, okay, I'm grateful and I'm just going to let go of you. I don't need you anymore. Because a lot of this stuff we're holding on to are tools of survival. I find no fault in it. We did it for our survival. I hung on to anger for survival reasons. And a lot of the other stuff, all survival. So just don't beat yourself up for it. But once you get into that higher mindset that you'll learn to achieve in meditation, you'll have a contrast to this higher mind and this contrast to this stress mind. And you go, oh, I can just let go of that. And I just started peeling away my many years of anger and just one at a time. And then one day I just had this tremendous healing.
Thank you, Ray.
Chris, I see your hand up. Thank you for raising your hand. You got your mic muted.
You're muted.
There we
There
go.
you
Can you
there you
hear
go,
me now?
Chris. I
Okay.
hear you now, Chris. Thank you.
Okay. Well, mine is maybe a little bit complicated. Maybe it really isn't. Maybe a lot of people feel the same way, but I'm an entrepreneur and my business is rocking and rolling before COVID. And then it just seems like after COVID, I just could not get, even now, I just cannot get my mojo back. Like, it's just, my husband's business, we're both entrepreneurs. His did like 1,000% better through the whole thing, but my business was shut down. And so then to get it started again, and I had to move. And so I had to move to a new location, blah, blah, blah. So after that, it's almost like I got beat down, and now it's just that energy level. I just cannot get myself out of that. It's just, I mean, I do have clients, they do come in, but I just don't feel the same anymore. That vibration, that level of vibe that I have going is not good. And I'm, I'm still open, I'm limping along, but it's just so bothersome to me that I don't know what it was before COVID and then after COVID. It maybe because it was out of my hands and someone shut my business down, and I had to conform, and I'm being an entrepreneur, that does not work very well.
Right.
Having somebody tell you what to do. Uh,
Well, you come to the book that is my Change Me book. This book is all about change me, not change somebody else, not change the world, change me. And
right.
that is exactly what we'll be working on as we go through this book.
Yeah, and so I know there's not some straight, like, some answer that someone's gonna just pull out of the sky and give me. I know it's many components and many different things going on at the same time. So I know this, but it baffles me, like, what that was before and what that, and I'm all I can come up with is just the hurt.
Yeah.
The hurt and the salary and all the things. I'm a lucky person because, we were savers, I'm fine financially. All of those things. And I'm very, very lucky to have all that. But this is not about that. This is about me and my business. So,
Right.
anyway.
And this book is about you. And that's what this is about. Someone asked on the chat, how do you raise your hand? If you're honest,
Thank you.
you're welcome. You'll be surprised how pointedly answers to that question will come as we go through this book. As you to raise your hand if you have a computer, I'm using a standard PC. I look in my screen and I have on the screen a few options on the bottom. It says participants, chats, and React. If you select React, there's a button in that open window that says raise hand. That's how you do it. How you do it on the phone, I don't know. I've never used my phone to do this. What about personal disorders? I got one for you. I am military rated, certified military PTSD. You want to talk about personal disorders? Oh my goodness, I was whacked out. I I was diagnosed with cancer, and within the first week of them dealing with me, they led me by the arm to a PTSD training class to settle me down because they got tired of dealing with me in 1 week. I was just a little bit intense. So anyway, and I still get my military disability check that has a portion for PTSD. But it's rated as permanent, so I don't ever get tested to see if I'm healed or anything. But yeah, I know what personal disorders are about. I was talking about stressed out of my mind. That's probably why I got cancer in the first place. So let's continue. On page 12. This is what makes the subatomic world unique. It possesses not just physical qualities, but also energetic qualities. In truth, matter on a subatomic level exists as a momentary phenomenon. Isn't that cool? We think this stuff is permanent. It is blinking on and off like a high-speed LED. If an LED blinks fast enough, it looks like it's on. And that's what's going on in our real life. It looks permanent, but it's actually a whole bunch of little tiny points of expression turning on and off. And what's really odd, anybody know about that quantum model experiment with the particles don't exist until people observe it, and then the observation brings it into reality? That is a creation principle that we will talk about throughout this year. By you going into meditation, going into that higher level of mind, by you learning the skill of observing, you will create your future. That's not my words. That's Dr. Joe's words. And that's what quantum science says is real. That's not mystical. Isn't that cool?
Mhm.
Are you beginning to see why this chapter is entitled Quantum You? At the subatomic level, energy responds to your mindful attention and becomes matter. Think of what I just said. Energy responds to your mindful attention and becomes matter. Say what? Isn't that kind of the definition of creating? That's not woo-woo. That's quantum science. That's reality. That's the human experience. How would your life change if you learned to direct the observer effect in you? Remember, they've already proven that when you observe into the energy field, it affects the particles of electrons to put them into a reality. To direct the observer effect and to collapse infinite waves of probability into reality that you choose. You actually can collapse that probability into existence. That potential is there for the human experience. Am I the only one that reads that and goes, wow, gee, could you get better at observing the life you want? If you knew that potential was there, that you could observe your life into reality. Now, it's a skill. And I know there's some people who are just born with skills that are just make you just jaw dropped. But for me, I had to work at it. And just to make a long story a little bit short, let me tell you what I did, just so you know that I'm talking from experience. I got the book in March of 2018. I've been doing this work since then. I had no friends. I found I found it on a goofy movie, What the Bleep, and then I bought his book and started reading it. And I read it and reread it. I bought his basic meditations and I'd listen to them 3 times a day, again and again and again.
Why can I not hear
During
you?
this time, I was a cancer patient with a VA medical center. I had phase 4 melanoma cancer as well as basal and squamous. Every 6 months, I was going in to get basal and squamous burned off my skin. And a few times I've gone in and gotten deep cancer cuts for melanoma. I was facing my 6th melanoma surgery. It was coming up in March of 2019. I had some tumors that I could hold out my arm, you'd see these bumps on my arm. And I started getting a hold of this. I can change, I can change, I can change. And I started learning this. I had a profound meditation in March of 2019. It took me a year to get there. That's why I said I didn't do this overnight. It took me a year to get there. But when I went into surgery, that's another point. I didn't go, I'm healed, I'm healed. No, I went to the doctor and said, give me the surgery and prove to me I'm healed. You know, I'm one of those kind of guys. I went in surgery, they cut my arm open, and the whole cavity where the cancer was, all the tissue in it was dead. Didn't even bleed when they cut it open. It was just dead tissue, and my body had already begun to absorb it. A couple months later, I did my annual full body checkup. For anybody that's dealt with skin cancer, you get a full body checkup. You get down to your shorts, and for the first time in 10 years, 100% clear. How's that for creating your new reality? 10 years, or 9 years of cancer treatment, surgeries and burnings and surgeries and burnings and freeze burn. And then to have it all end abruptly. Yeah, that happened to me. This is possible. You don't have to be a guru. You're already the mystic. You don't know it, but you are. That's why I said start from where you are, and you already are an energy being. And start letting go of the things that say you're not. In other words, if you can imagine a future event in your life based on any one of your personal desires, how bad do you want it? If you talk to me on the telephone the first time, I'm going to eventually say, how bad do you want it? Give me the reason why you won't do it. I'll trap you in that one. What do you mean? Because if there's any reason you won't do it, then you can't do it. Because this is so hard to do, to overcome these programs in your mind, that if there's a reason you can't do it, you won't. You got to want it. How bad do you want it? I was told I was going to die from cancer. How am I doing? I wanted it pretty bad. So, how bad do you want it? If your mind can influence the appearance of an electron, then theoretically it can influence the appearance of any possibility. Because all possibilities are just expressions of electrons. You are powerful enough to influence matter because at the most elementary level, you are energy with a consciousness. You are mindful matter. You are energy with a consciousness. The quantum universe is just waiting for a consciousness, for a conscious observer. That potential is out there just in cruise mode saying, somebody do something, I'm bored. So someone gets a great idea, creates a consciousness, chooses it, and the universe responds. This is human. People do it all the time. What we're learning to do here is to consciously, creatively, deliberately do this. I know musicians that just seem to put their head back, and the music just comes to them. Artists that just walk up to a blank canvas and just paint just flies at it. They do this. This is what they do. I know engineers that sit in front of a blank piece of paper and go, oh, I got an idea. And it just flows out of them. And you go, what in the world? How'd you know? We are going to learn to consciously, creatively, deliberately do this. Influence matter by our consciousness. Page 16. This is crucial to understanding how you can cause an effect or make change in your life. What we do unto others, we do unto ourselves. You ever hear that before? Why is that a true statement when I'm sitting in my room by myself? Because I am an energy being and I produce an energy field that radiates out without limits. We are all part of the field of energy. Separation is an illusion to this expression of the survival mind. You ever met somebody that just walks up to you and you just instantly just like them, even love them sometimes? They just some people just are so radiant in that you just meet them and you go, I don't know who you are, but I like you. You know, just that's what I mean. Your energy is not fixed here. It radiates out and other people can feel it and respond to it. And we're going to learn to do that because we're humans, we are conscious energies, and we're going to learn to do that consciously, creatively, deliberately. I love that we can choose this. Here's another subject that's interesting. Let me take a sip. One of the other companies that Dr. Joe works with, and I am very stingy about introducing other companies in the work with Dr. Joe. There's many companies doing wonderful work, many teachers helping people do many things. And I don't want to wander off in any of those discussions. There's enough in Dr. Joe's work to talk about. But this is one company that Dr. Joe introduces in his books and in his conferences. Heart Math Institute. And I'm going to introduce it first time here on page 19. In Dr. Reinhardt's experiment, he first studied a group of 10 individuals who were well practiced in using techniques that Heart Math teaches to build heart-focused coherence. Heart-focused coherence. Back in 2018, when I first started this work, I read that and I had no idea what that meant. Heart-focused coherence. Just the heart focus thing seemed like, if you focus on your heart, you can interfere with its regular work. Heart focus coherence. I wasn't even sure what the word coherence means. So we'll break that down as we go. They applied the technique to produce strong, elevated feelings such as love and appreciation. Then for 2 minutes, they held vials of DNA samples suspended in deionized water. When those samples were analyzed, no significant changes were made. What they're doing is that they're in a lab with heart math, and these different groups had a little test tube, and they put some DNA in it, and they were given the instruction to unravel the DNA. Everybody knows that the DNA is a twisted parallax. And their instruction was to affect matter, unravel that DNA, break the DNA. You say, is that even possible? It's not only possible, but they were experimenting on doing it. That's how possible it is. So the first part, they said, hold on to this and go into meditation. Nothing happened to the DNA. The second group went in and says, hold this and go into meditation and tell the DNA to unravel. Nothing happened. Another group went into it and they said, go into it and get your heart emotionally involved, go into heart coherence and experience the DNA unraveling. And a certain percentage of people succeeded in breaking the DNA and unraveling it. Think about what that experiment implies. By meditation, you can change and affect your DNA. Say, what? I thought DNA was the most fixed thing in our body, that we were born with a fixed DNA, and that's who we were, and we're stuck with it. Guess what? Science has shown that's not true. Just like the science has shown that your fixed mind is not true, your fixed brain, your fixed DNA is not true either. And that's a couple of the things that we'll go through the study, that the premise of our life, science, has been proven false. We can meditate and change our DNA. Only when subjects held both a heightened emotion and a clear objective in alignment with it were they able to achieve the intention. So the heart intensity, a heightened emotion, and a clear intention, and just rest in that energy, they are not doing the work. They are holding their heart in a clear picture, and the universe does it. That's a principle we'll talk about many times, but that's the first introduction to it. It only responds when those two alignments are coherent. That is, when they are broadcasting the same signal, when your heart and your mind are tuned, coherent. The quantum field responds not to what we want, it responds to who we are being. When your heart and your mind are on tune, are coherent, are lined up, you are being that expression. The universe around you creates energy that it radiates out. It just works. Have you ever listened to somebody who plays music, but they play it because they've memorized it? Every note can be perfectly correct, but you go, boring. You don't even know why it's boring. And then you meet somebody who plays just from their heart, and it just flows like love. And people will stand absorbed in that energy because it's coherent and it's heart, mind tied together. It's like that. Further down on page 20. I find it a useful model to think of thoughts as the electrical charge in the quantum field and feelings as the magnetic charge in the field. You'll hear Dr. Joe says, your intention sends the signals out to the universe, and your magnetic field of your heart draws it back. We'll be talking about that throughout the rest of the year. Together, how we think and how we feel produce the state of being, which generates the electromagnetic signature that influences every atom in our world, not our body, our world. This should prompt us to say, what am I broadcasting, consciously or unconsciously, on a daily basis? Look about you. Your reality is a subject to your energy field. If you could create a new electromagnetic field by changing your state of being, which matches the potential in the quantum field of information, is it possible that your bodies would be drawn to that event or even would find you? Once again, this is not mysticism. This is proven quantum science. When your intention and your heart learn to be coherent and produce the same thing, like a dancer on a stage. I've seen dancers, they dance, they do their exercises, and it looks like nice. Then you get a couple of people who learn how to get coherent and flow in an energy, and it's spellbinding to watch a couple or a few people dance in that state. It just is spellbinding, beautiful. That's what you can do in your everyday life. I changed a body that was stressed out and wanted to die from cancer. And now it's years later, and I'm healthier than I was 20 years ago. This is a little device that Heart Math Institute sells. It's an expensive little booger. It's called Heart Rate Variable Monitor. It's an expensive little toy, at least for my budget. But it taught me how to get out of my head and into my heart. From first many months of that first year, I thought I was meditating while I was trying to meditate. But nothing was happening, and I didn't understand why until I bought this. And then I realized all I was doing is telling myself stories, focusing on stories. I didn't know how to move from beta to alpha deliberately. We'll go through this. We'll talk about the brain waves, beta, alpha, theta, delta. And that helped me learn that. So if you've got the money, check into Heart Math Institute and check into their heart rate variable monitor. Page 22. From a quantum standpoint, we have to create different state of being as an observer and generate a new electromagnetic signature. When we do, we reach a potential reality in the field that exists only as an electromagnetic potential. Once that match exists between who we are being and what we're broadcasting and the electromagnetic potential in the field, we will be pulled toward that reality and it will find us. Now that is an amazing paragraph. Let's take it apart a little bit. From the quantum standpoint, we have to create a different state of being. In other words, if we try to do this in our survival mind, we get survival stuff. That's what we've been doing all our life, but we want to change that. So we need to do in a different state of mind. We'll learn that in meditation. You do that in meditation and generate a new electromagnetic signature in nature. When we do, we will match a potential reality in the field that exists only as a electromagnetic potential. So when you go into this place in our mind with an intent to achieve something, my primary intent for those first couple of years was health. And I created an image of my health. And everything, that's what I did. And that's what I wanted. And I found that resonant frequency in the future, and I drew toward it, and it drew toward me. And that works for whatever pulls you. You tune your consciousness to a potential in the field. And when you connect, it's like a phone line. You're out there looking for it and you connect, or spinning a radio dial and you find it. And the energy starts flowing. It works like that. To change your life is to change your energy. If you don't change your energy, you don't change your life. How do you change your energy? In meditation, tuning your heart-mind coherence into a new intention. And that's what we're going to learn to do through this study. If you want a new outcome, you will have to break the habit of being yourself and reinvent a new you. Like I said, my old me was an angry Army vet with a lot of ugliness in my mind. I had to create this new guy that I didn't have any idea how to do it. Because that old guy is all I ever knew. And I had to do these books and meditation many times to even find an image of the man I wanted to be. But I found him and he found me, and now you're looking at the results. Okay, this looks like a good point for a little commentary. Anybody have any discussion on this crazy concept that we can tune into nature and change ourselves, change our world, change our consciousness, become a new you? Anybody want to add to that? AQK. Okay. I have no idea how to say your name, sir.
Yeah, it's AQK. Yeah, everybody, hello from my side. I have experienced this thing in my life. Can everyone hear me properly?
Yes, I hear you, sir.
Yeah, I have experience. I did business in the beginning. So I was a trader. That was I was doing business from China to Malaysia. So I have
Wow.
one thing, a big experience. Every time negative thoughts come in my mind, that either so we sell the product that we have to give them on the credit. So every time the negative thoughts comes in my mind that people might didn't give me a money back. Yeah. So I met around with some of old business person. I'm not saying old, I'm saying they're experienced in that field. I asked them. So they told me that what you think, it will come that the same thing will come in your life. So he told me, change your mindset, think positive, that you trust on him, he will give you a positive response. I believe me, uh, I follow the positive attitude. Yeah. I remove all those negative thinking about my customer and think, if he is negative, if he is not a good customer, I feel that he might be good. Believe me, after 1 or 2 times, it become good. It changed my life by changing my mindset.
There you go.
Yeah.
You said it exactly right, sir. That was spot on. And what we're trying to do here is to take that and go even higher. What you said is absolutely, but as you move that up into higher consciousness, you can start, for lack of a better word, I don't know another, you can start being the mystic that you dream of being, and with healings and creating a life of joy and love. It's there for you. It's more a matter of letting go and simply changing perspective than it is trying to achieve anything. You are absolutely right on that, AQK. Thank you. Raj, I see your hand up.
Hey, thank you. This is Rajal, by the way. Raj is my husband's name, but I can go with either. And I was the one you spoke to in India. I was in India a few weeks ago and at the time, and I'm back in States here now and happy to join this group. I wanted to address the previous comment from somebody who was a business owner and had a setback, but I couldn't learn to raise my hand properly at the time. The thing that I realized, and I have a similar experience, I don't own a business, but I worked in corporate America for about 20 plus years and had a setback with my health, for which I have to take a break in my career, and I'm not earning anything right now. And it kind of subconsciously plays on my mind, just like you were saying, why I've done everything. But what I've realized in this two odd years is that whatever I went through in terms of that journey, they say the pain doctor comes to bring you awareness of yourself and kind of take you on a path of spirituality or some kind of a evolvement of your soul. And I truly believe that had it not been for that experience with my health, quitting my job, learning to focus on myself and practice self-love and not learn to do those things. So I was in India doing that, practicing the self-love and healing, physically part of their journey. And that's where I met some people who were big fans of Dr. Joe. And I was actually reading his book on the way there on the plane. And then I bumped the synchronicities, right? I bumped into somebody there. They're like, oh, you're listening to Dr. Joe, and I've been to their summits and you should join in. And I got added to this group. So I believe that all that happens in your life is to kind of put you on the path of self-awareness, path of self-involvement, and whatever pain you're going through, just take that pain doctor's cue and move on to your journey of evolving and self-loving.
Yes. And you're right. I like that word journey. I think you're right on that because, and the journey, like most journeys, isn't a straight line. It's ups and downs and climbs and stuff. Very good. David, I see your hand. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Ray. Thanks for doing this. This is actually more of a question rather than discussion. So should I hold that until the end?
No, that's okay. This is kind of like a question time, just.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, my question is, I found it hard to implement the meditation practice that Dr. Joe talks about. I think he gets up around like 4 a.m. or something. And, he's got like, it's like an hour and a half a day, hour and a half at night. I've just found that part difficult. So I wanted to know if you could talk to your experience a bit and how you kind of figured that out and, implemented that in a successful way, I suppose.
My working career ended when I was diagnosed with phase 4 fully metastatic malignant melanoma. I mean, my life all but, in fact, I was told to get my affairs in order. I'll be dead in 3 to 5 years. And that was in 2009. And just talking about a day that changed my life. So I didn't have work to get up to do. So with that in mind, I realized I understand the working life, and getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning when you got a hard physical life, stressful life ahead of you is a challenge. But I found that for a guy who never woke up early in his life, when I wanted to wake up because I had a challenge to change my life, I started waking up. But for people who go to work, there are half-an-hour meditations that you can do. The whole idea is do what you can do. And you'll find that if you do what you can do grows. Your body will adjust, your mind will adjust. Where is your priority? How bad do you want it? Do you want it bad enough to adjust your evening schedule? Do you want it bad enough to change your diet? Do you want it bad enough to quit drinking so much coffee? Do you want it bad enough to change friends? Do you want it bad enough to fight for your life? Really, this isn't easy what I did. And I'm not trying to tell you, well, just sit down and meditate and it's a pill you can take. No, for many people, this is heart-wrenching hard work to confront the stuff that they've been doing this to all their life. And I'm asking them to learn how to release it and forgive it. I've talked to enough people to know how painful it is to say, I forgive. Because they're holding on to horrible traumas. So, get up in the morning, half an hour earlier than you normally do for work, and sit down in your chair for 15 minutes and do a breathing meditation. Pretty soon, you'll be waking up normally early, and you'll get up and you go, why am I awake? Because, oh yeah, I got to do that. And you'll hear the voice say, how bad do you want it? You're going to roll over and go back to sleep and break the pattern that you're building in your mind? How bad do you want it? If you don't care, remember that thing about the heart and mind? If the heart doesn't want it, you're not going to get it. Haven't you ever tried to do something in it'd be nice, and you don't get it because it'd be nice? You ever have a passion for something that Katie open the barn door, I'm coming through because ain't nothing going to stop this boy. Hell or high water, I'm going to achieve this. You're on a goal to change your life. Are you kidding me? You had how many years of programming that personality you are, and you're sitting at this book and you're going, I'm going to change me. I am not giving you the illusion that this is going to be easy. Okay, for some people, they make it easy. Okay, you know how it is. Some people got talent. Yeah, I can do that. And they sit down and play music. Like, how'd you do that? I don't know. Just this. So there will always be people like that. So don't hurt yourself by comparing, because your story is not my story. Okay? Get up and do what you can do. And when you find things interfering with it, let go of them. Remember the different perspective. You are not here trying to achieve there. You are already an energy being trying to let go of the things that keep you from expressing it. It's a whole different mindset, and it's magical when you get my idea. I hope that helped a little bit.
Yeah, it does. Thank you, Ray.
You're welcome. Julie, I see your hand.
No, yeah. So I just want to share different experience. I I entered Joe Dispenza by reading the book Becoming Supernatural. So immediately I decided that's something I need to study further. So I went to the advanced workshop. Before that, I already have like, 15, 30 minutes meditation. I'm like, I would never be able to sit there for 1 hour. And then, so with that mindset, I think for me, the changing the habit always come with like a grace period of time, right? So either I go to the advanced workshop, put my whole heart in there, and then practice. And then when I come back, I start making sure that integrated to my life. So I write down how many times I did my meditation. Sort of, I'm a data person, so I have to write down, and then June, July, August. Okay, I know like I do at least 30 to 50 in each month of the time, and then I have a period of time like I know I stop measuring, and then but the one thing helps me the most is, I would just bring a chair in my closet because closet is just pitch dark, right? Doesn't matter what time. I'll just stand up and walk in and then start playing it without thinking of the weather, touching my phone. I mean, I had to touch my phone to play, but without doing anything else, that's first thing I do. And then Dr. Joe has morning and evening meditation at 35 minutes. That would be good to start with. But for me, I always have to have that a period of time for me to fully immerse it before I can integrate it back to the life, because it's always a little bit less when I go back to, we have more challenges in life, right?
Right.
So
I
I
have
just
a,
want to
I
share
have
that.
a friend, a man that I know. He's a pretty seriously employed man, and you said something that made him come to mind. He has a chair in his closet, and in the morning he gets up and goes in and closes the closet door and sits in the chair because it totally is sound deprivation, light deprivation. He goes in and he zones out. He's not a student of Dr. Joe, but he is a student of meditation, and he's my one of my good friends. So yeah, that's if you can go there, that's an interesting suggestion. Georgia, my friend, how are you, lady?
Hi, Ray. Happy New Year's. I know
Happy
it's
New
here, but
Year.
it's good to
I'm
see you.
excited to see you.
I have been waiting for this, I say class, for all these weeks because I missed the last two of your last book. I was abroad, and so I'm very excited. But I wanted to sort of take it on the gentleman who spoke prior, to another step. So in the book, he said, would you ever basically know the answer to how to solve your problems and not do it? And I feel like my answer to that is yes. And I'll give you an example. So every time I don't know how to get over myself, I will start the meditation. It will be very good for a few weeks. Like every day I'll get up and I'll meditate once or twice. I'll get up in the morning. At one point, for example, I said every time I wake up in the middle of the night, I will meditate instead of go read some fiction book or something, right? I would read on my phone in the middle of the night. I don't sleep well. And I feel like after a certain point, I'll just get sick. Like something will happen and I'll just stop. And I know I should meditate because every single time I wake up in the middle of the night now, I will hear the music from a meditation, but I will talk myself out of it, almost like I'm scared or whatever. And then I'll start again. And then it will happen 2, 3 weeks and a weekend or 10 days. Something happens and I just stop. And it's like I get to a point where I I will just say I get sick. I like physically get sick. It's almost like for me to change, I need to push through, but I
Yes,
just go back to my old self where I feel guilty because I should be meditating and I stop.
yes,
And it's the wildest thing. I'll wake up and I'll hear the song for whichever meditation. I'll hear one and I'll like, oh, next thing you know, it's like I have to go out for work.
yes. I think you'll find that if you were to get to meet people in this one audience by itself, you will know, you'll hear that a lot of people have similar experiences with that. There are mornings I wake up at my 4:30 time, I go, I don't want to get up, and I can't go to sleep. I mean, I am laying there with my eyes open, arguing with my mind. I don't want to get up this morning, and I don't get peace until I get up and go do what I have told my body I need to do. And I'll go up and I'll go in and do a meditation, and I'll lift my energy and rest in that field. And then my day will start and I feel great. So yeah,
and it's weird
congratulations
because
for having
yeah,
that program. You know, having that program to stir you and poke you and get you to wake, that's a big success. Good for you. Now get out of bed. Come
I
on, you can
know.
do
Yeah, I've
it.
been looking forward to this book because I know we did it last year, but I feel like I am so in the habit of being myself. Like I'm
Right,
so comfortable being uncomfortable, but I'm
right.
still here, right? So I feel like that's still a step that I'm moving forward.
Well,
And for
thanks
the
for
person
joining
you
us on the
mentioned,
journey.
the join the walking meditation. It is funny. I told my boyfriend, he thought we were like, he said we were trying to connect to the mothership because we do look like, but it's worth it. It's a great group. That's how I
Yeah,
met you. So hey,
yeah, that was one day. All right, I know I've got some hands, but I'm going through time and I have a lot to cover. So could you guys hold your question till a little bit further? Let me cover some more material, please. Um, okay, so I'm on page 24. If your intentions and desires have not produced consistent results, you've probably been sending an incoherent mixed message into the field. You may want wealth, you may think wealthy thoughts, but if you feel poor, you aren't going to attract financial abundance to yourself. Why not? Because the thoughts are the language of the brain and the feelings are the language of the body. You're thinking one way and feeling another. And when the mind is in opposition to the body, the field won't respond in any consistent way. That's heart-mind coherence. And it took me practice to get there. And it took me practice to understand when I'm not there. So that's the magic sauce right there. When your mind sends out an intention and it's not a want, it's a full-blown planned, detailed intention. And your heart is in resonance and, oh, I would love that. And you're excited about it. Then you are sending out a coherent signal. If you are just looking through a catalog of pictures in your mind, or you see a vacation spot and you cut that picture out and post it on the wall, and it's just, okay, I'm remembering it. All you've done is create chaos in your spirit because your heart is doing one thing and your mind's doing something else. It's when the heart and mind work together that you get that energy flowing and you start creating your life. Okay, let me move on a little bit. On page 25, strive to create an unknown new future experience. That was a trip for me. How do I create something I don't know? It's even hard to describe. I was a man that was physically healthy, physically strong, powerful in what I did. Uh, my wrist would be, I couldn't buy standard watch bands because my wrist was thick with muscle that regular watch bands didn't fit me. I worked with cables and I handled cables a lot. So my hands were powerful because I had to handle the cables and pull them and do different things. And so I'm supposed to create an image of myself. I went from being strong to dying of cancer to wanting to be healthy. And those 3 points are different. Now my blood panel says I am about 15, 20 years younger than my physical age. So I've achieved health as good as a guy my age can achieve. I mean, I could get my blood panel here. Just it says for these numbers, it suits the person at this age. So I've learned how to be healthy. I've achieved that. You just went from cause and effect to causing the effect. When you do this right, we are no longer living in the Newtonian life of being the effect of causes outside of ourselves. We are creating a cause, making effects around us. We are the energy being sourcing the frequency, changing the world about us. This is not woo-woo. This is not mysticism. This is not religious glory. This is science of who the human experience is. And I love it being taught like that. That means this Dr. Joe could go to any planet, I don't know about planet, any culture on the planet and say, you as a human being can tune in, get coherent, and change your life learning what we do here. Then I get introduce you to the number one word that I had trouble with. Surrender, trust, and let go of how a desired event will unfold. I didn't like the word surrender. I bet you there's some guys here that were pretty tough in their day, and they didn't deal with surrender very well either. But one of the things I learned about the word surrender, and you'll hear it a lot in my in this work with Dr. Joe, is that I've learned to change definitions. And the first big word I learned with is the word surrender. For me, surrender was being defeated. And I'm telling you, I was a guy that didn't defeat. I didn't defeat gracefully at all, not even in a card game. And so to surrender, I just turn the page and go on because I couldn't deal with even the word. What I learned is that surrender has a different definition. If you have something in your hand and I say, surrender that to me, I'm not saying be defeated. I'm saying give it to me, let go of it, release it. That's that word. That's what it means. When you're surrendering, what are you surrendering? You're surrendering this survival mind over to the divine. When you learn to do that simple statement, your life changes. That's a big one. That took me a long time because I didn't like the word. I had to, first of all, change the definition of surrender to release. And you have to release two. You're not just, surrender means giving it over. Who you giving it to? You're giving it to the divine consciousness. I don't care what you call that experience for you. You're giving it to the divine, the infinite. And when you do that, what is left in you is your true you. It's really, really an amazing experience if you ever touch it. That's what this whole journey is about, to get you to that point. In terms of quantum creating, can you give thanks to something that exists as a potential in the quantum field, but not as happening in reality? I want health, I want health, I want health. And I am going to the doctor's office and they're all telling me I'm dying of cancer. I have nothing in my reality that says I'm going to survive that, because everybody around me with that level of cancer dies. Yeah. I had to create in me a level that did not exist in my body or in my mind. And I learned how to do it by doing this work. I hope you now agree on some basic understanding concept of the quantum model that all physical reality is primarily energy existing in a vast web that is interconnected across space and time. You are interconnected. The illusion of separation from me to you will fade over time as you do this work. I'm on page 28. Understand that this universal intelligence possesses the same awareness that makes us individual consciousnesses or mindfulness. Now, there's another bold statement. Your consciousness, take a breath, tune in, go into awareness. You can just do it. That consciousness that is doing that, this universal intelligence possesses the same awareness that makes us individuals. The universal mind, the universal divine, the God of your God is the same consciousness as you just exercised in your head. Wow. It observes everything
All right,
into
Ada
physical
Kaya, you
form.
need to change clothes and brush your teeth and go potty, please.
Okay, I didn't see who
No,
spoke
no
that,
bath.
but Patrice, could you find that speaker and mute him, please? Oh, that was cute, though. I'm going to keep that. As I edit the tape, that one I don't want to lose. That was funny. Okay. We've talked about two aspects of consciousness, the objective consciousness intelligence of the field and the objective consciousness that is free-willed, self-aware. When we emulate the properties of this awareness, we are becoming creators. Think of that. It's right there. It's right there on the tips of our consciousness. When we learn to do this, we become creators in our life. What a bold statement. When we feel resonance with this loving intelligence, we become like it. This intelligence will orchestrate an event, an energetic response to match whatever the subjective mind puts out into the quantum field. What? Get a hold of the boldness of that. This intelligence, this divine intelligence, this universal mind will orchestrate an event, an energetic response to match whatever the subjective mind puts out into the quantum field. Whatever this mind, coherent heart and mind, puts out in the field, Dr. Joe writes that divine intelligence will respond. That's the rules. We become the elevated power that transcends the past, heals the present, and opens doors to the future. I love that. I just love this book. I've read it so many times and I still get excited every time I read it. The question at the heart of this book is this: why don't we send out a signal that will produce a positive outcome for us? How can we change so that the signal we send out matches what we intend to produce in our lives? We will change when we fully commit to the belief that by choosing the thoughtful signal we send out, we will produce an effect that is observable and unexpected. With this objective intelligence, we are not punished for our sins, but by them. Let's define sin as I used it here. Sin is an archery term. Did you know that? Back when they were using archery for weapons and stuff, you sinned if you shot an arrow and it missed the mark. That's a sin. Technical term. Produce undesirable experiences in our past. Is it any wonder that the field responds the same way? If we are producing scattered thoughts, we get a scattered life. Back to that first sentence. Why don't we send out a signal that will produce a positive outcome for us? Why don't we do that? Because we are taught in our society a scattered, separated, survival mind. We are taught scarcity and unworthiness from the time we're a child. And now as an adult, we're going, I don't want that mind anymore. Well, you've got a lot of programs you've got to deprogram in your mind. A lot of stuff you're holding on to that you've got to learn to work away. Yeah, surrendering is very difficult. It was for me. This principle asks us to lay down what we think we know. Surrender to the unknown. Surrender to the unknown. Release the stuff you're holding on to. Then observe the effects in the form of feedback in our lives. And that's the best way to learn. Why do we hold on to stuff? because I want justice for the terrible thing that happened to me. And I'm going to make justice happen. Right? Anybody got a little bit of that in them? I lived that for so many years, and it did nothing but cause havoc in my life. I had to learn to let justice go and let the divine have it. What a relief that was to be able to do that. And all that energy that kept me safe started coming home and healing my body. Instead, the quantum model demands that our understanding of reality not be based on our senses. In the process of creating a future reality via the quantum model, our senses should be the last experience that the mind's created. The very last thing we experience is sensory feedback. Now, there's a contradiction for you for a guy that is as physical as me, as I was. I'm supposed to create something, and the last feedback I get is my senses. You ever hear anybody says, I don't believe unless I can see it? You probably never get it doing this, because what you see is the last of a series of events that happen. And we're going to go into that series of events. Thus, to move into that domain and create, I'm on page 32. Thus, to move into that domain and create from that paradigm, you'll need to forget about your body. Forget one. Remember, you can't change in the same mindset. So step one is to move into meditation and release this survival mind, put it to rest, and go to work in your consciousness. That was the first step, and that was a challenge for me to learn. Just thought I'd be honest with you who I was. You'll also have to temporarily shift your awareness away from the external environment. You have to let go of this. You have to let go of this. You have to let go of this. And you have to let go of that time illusion. Do that, and you have domain over the environment, your body, and time. And since the subatomic world of this field is made up purely of consciousness, you cannot enter any way than pure consciousness yourself. You want to go into that special place? This physical world doesn't go through that door. If you're holding on to that physical world, you're not going to get through the gate. You've got to let go of this physical world and go in as a consciousness. Once you go in as a consciousness, you can tune to a particular desired infinite potential and bring that energy and manifest it, condensate it down into your physical life. That's the formula that we will talk about all year long. Enter the field, enter a similar state. Page 33. We have the power to make material a reality of our own choosing by selecting it from the quantum field. What an outrageous statement. We have the power to make material a reality of our own choosing by selecting it from the quantum field. But we have to somehow access that field. This is what we're talking about. We're always connected to it, but how do we get the field to respond to us? If we're constantly emitting energy and therefore sending information to the field and receiving information from it, how do we communicate more effectively with it? Well, we just outlined it, part of it. We tune in, get out of our body, tune in, let go of the environment, tune in, let go of our relationship with time. In an upcoming chapter, I will talk about how to enter the field. You have to enter a similar state as the field. When that happens, you forget about your body, you forget about your environment, and you forget about the time. There's your equation. On page 34. If I didn't have so many other commitments, I could lose the excess weight, and then I'd be happy. We've all stated some variations of that theme. If this, then that, cause and effect. What if you could change your mind, your thoughts, your feelings, and your way of being outside the bounds of time and space? What if you could change ahead of time and see the effects of those internal changes in your external world? What if you could change your mind and tune into a potential and draw that energy into your life, radiate new energy, become a new person and radiate new personal energy and change the world about you? What if you could do that? What has profoundly and positively changed my life and the lives of so many others is the understanding that changing one's mind and thereby having new experiences and gaining new insights is simply a matter of breaking the habit of being yourself. When you overcome your senses, when you understand that you are not bound by the chains of your past, when you have a life that is greater than your body, your environment, and time, all things are possible. What an outrageous statement. You think you could do it? I'm telling you, if this angry army vet, this dark, I could just go on a whole list of negative terms of who I used to be and change to be this guy, all you beautiful people, all the hope that you guys got, all the freedom and health and abundance. Oh my goodness, sure you can do it. Sure you can. How bad do you want it? All right, let's talk a little bit. Justika, I see your hand. Thank you for being so patient and waiting for me to finish up that part. I just want to make sure I got through the chapter. Jessica.
Yes, thank you so much. This is my first time doing anything like this and joining a group like this. And
Thank you. You blessed me by being here.
thank you. My question is, so yeah, we really get into that zone where we have told ourselves that we want this so badly, but then after doing it for a while, and then I think this was somebody else's question also, then something happens in life like health or something happens, and then we fall off the wagon. How do we get back, and how do we kind of continue in that zone? I am really struggling to get back on the track. um yes, health issue is there, but I mean, I don't know how to kind of convince my brain. Seeing myself following the old patterns.
I think that is a very real question, very real world problem that I mean, just that's a human problem. Yes, let me address that. Dr. Joe talks about people change for one of two reasons. They change for a trauma, that's my example of cancer, and they change for a love of the future self. I saw people go through the cancer, get healed, not figure out what to do with their life, go back to living just like they were before they had cancer. The cancer returned and killed them the second time. I saw that. What's different about me? I had cancer. I got my deliverance, and I fought like crazy to develop a love of my future self. And you're seeing me growing in that direction. This is part of that path of my future self. So my question to you is, what is that future self that you're falling in love with? If you don't care about it, if you're content, then you're going to find the journey challenging because you don't have a reason to surrender what you're holding on to. When you fall in love, just like romance, you fall in love with the person that crosses your path. I mean, just you go cuckoo over it. You're willing to give up everything to be with that life and join a life to that person. There is nothing, you bound nothing to it. A woman gives her full life to her love. It's a little bit like that. You fall in love with the future self and you start letting go of things that keep you in this life. That's why if you're trying to achieve it, it's a lot harder than you see yourself there and you let go of the things that interfere with it being there. So I would suggest finding a way. We will go through this later in the book, I think, where you create a symbol of your future self. I used the word a letter, made a circle, and do things. What does it feel like? What does it look like? And you give reasons to this program in your mind that goes, you don't care. You go, what do you mean I don't care? I love that idea. I would love to be that person. I mean, I would love it. I just, what do I give up to help me get closer? That's so human, Jessica. That is so, even I still have days when I get up and I go, okay, I just try to go back to bed. My eyes go, no, you don't get to do that, right? You know, you've programmed to get up in the morning and do this, and you're not. My body doesn't feel good unless I sit in this chair for a while every morning, because that is my love of my future self. This draws me to that person I'm trying to become. So, Jessica, my simply question to you is, without telling me, let me just ask you a simple question. Have you found that future self that you are drawing yourself to?
I have.
Good. Make that your priority. Write it down. Fall in love with it. Find reasons to let go of other things and reasons to work toward that. Because this natural survival mode will tell you, not today. And little compromises will break the whole dam that holds it all back. So just start loving that future self and doing little things to win back that love, that relationship with it. Little things. For me, the big thing and the little thing was getting up every morning and breaking the habit. I lost jobs because I couldn't get up in the morning. The idea that I get up at 4 or 5 in the morning now is humorous to me, because I literally have lost jobs because I just couldn't make myself get up. And now I get up time to get up, right? Come on, we got stuff to do. You know, my inner program just wants to walk in that space now. Did that help, Jessica?
Yes. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. AQK, I loved your last comment. I'm anxious to hear what you say this time.
Yeah, so I am 100% agree with you. The love of future yourself. I will share my story that how I changed my life. I was bald before 4 or 5 years before. I have little bit hair on my head. Yeah, so I was so conscious. I went to Turkey. Yeah, you look good. You look good, but you look good. I was so conscious about my look. Yeah, I went the story I'm telling because how I quit smoking and I start exercise. So how I'm relating with your connection that is love of future yourself. I want to look good. I went to Turkey. I do transplant there. Then they told me that you have to quit smoking for 10 days. Yeah. So when I say I cannot quit, they say, yeah, you have to, otherwise you'll lose your money and you'll lose your ear again. So I quit smoking, quit 10 days, then I think with myself, it's better to leave it, because my teeth was not clean. My weight was heavy. Yeah. After 10 days, after doing the transplant, I go back to my country. 10 days I waited. Then I try to start fasting. Okay. I quit more 30 days. I didn't smoke. Okay. Because I am agree with your point that I was so conscious by my look. I do exercise, lose my weight. My teeth was clean because before smoking, it was yellowish. You know, all these things I did. Now I realize after attending this lecture, this is because of love of my future, love of myself in future. So that's why I quit smoking. I'm truly telling you the truth. I quit. I'm going for exercise. Yeah. And my weight is now very good, normal. And I'm older, but I look myself 10 years younger.
That's how it's
So
done.
you're right that Dr. Joe says that trauma and love of your future can change yourself. I'm 100%, even I'm 1000% agree with this.
Very good, AQK. That was spot on right. That's how it's done, just like that. Very good. Thank you. Next. Karina, thank you for raising your hand.
I just wanted to share with everybody a little bit of my experience. So I really am in awe of hearing people that can just change themselves very quickly. But for me, it's not like that. And I've been with Ray, and he helped me a lot with that, and other teachers that I'm listening to. And I just wanted to share that each one has their own way. And my way until now is to change slowly, but keep on it. And I also can do at this point meditations like 2 or 3 hours meditations or things like that. So I found another way. I do it shorter, but I keep doing it. I keep doing it. I keep doing it. And what I notice is that different thoughts come to my head. So instead of the critic that was always critiquing whatever I was doing, doesn't matter what, that was not good, and that was even worse, and that was also not good, and that needs fixing, whatever, whatever. Now, I very quickly I feel that I'm thinking, Karina, you are not broken. Keep going, just keep going. You're doing well. You're doing well. You're doing well. So the tone is changing. The people notice and say, oh, this is a very deep insight that you are saying. And I didn't even feel how it happened. I just keep doing the work, keep doing the work. Thank you.
Yes, because it wasn't overnight for me either. It was months before I got any feedback in my head at all. You know, when you study something, you get these aha moments. It was months before I just read the book and I went, I see the promise. And the promise is if I do the work, I get the promise. And so I went at it, you know, and well, you're looking at the effect in me. Steffi, thank you for raising your hand.
Hello, Ray. I actually have a question about the way the meditations are done. In order for me to be consistent, I joined a group, Divine Energy Meditations. And in this way, I do wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do meditations with them through WhatsApp. And every night at 8 p.m., I also do the meditation. This was going on for about 2 months, and then all of a sudden I couldn't do those meditations anymore because I needed silence. So what I started doing is just silent meditations, no music, not talking, nothing. So do you think that's good, or I should continue with Dr. Joe's meditations?
I have no way of answering the question. Let's talk about the goal of meditation, and then you can answer it yourself. The goal of meditation with Dr. Joe is both the effect and, well, I'm not saying it right. Let me go. The first goal of meditation with Dr. Joe is to learn something. Everything Dr. Joe does, from his simplest meditation that we're going to do, the first one tonight, and all the way to the week-long conferences, is to teach you how to get free of this survival mind. Everything is incremental. It comes at you from every direction: sensory, education, information, experience. He is always working to help you free yourself from this survival mind, this analytical survival mind. That is the process. Now, where is this freeing taking you? It's taking you out of your to free your body out of stress. Stress is the barrier. Stress isn't bad. You'll hear me say this all year long. I never criticize stress. It's chronic stress. If you're driving down Texas highways or any highway doing 70, 80 miles an hour, I hope you're stressing. I hope you're hyper vigilant like crazy, because you need that to get the other direction. You know, you just got to be intense. Okay. Stress is there for your survival. But when you sit down in your chair to meditate, can you let go of it? That's the question. That's the exercise. That's the goal. To sit down and step out of our survival ego mind and go into that consciousness free of the body, and let the body go automatic programs. We're no longer alert to our environment. So those energies come home. We're no longer concerned about our body because we have confidence the autonomic programs will heal it. We're no longer worried about time because we have set aside time to know we're good here. And so we let those things go and we move into it. That's the goal. Now, if you can do that in the quiet space without the instruction of Dr. Joe, I applaud you. I wasn't able to do that until, let's just say, a long time. I don't want to tell myself too much. It was a long time. I needed the coaching because my mind was out of control. I even had, well, we'll talk about that later. So in point, so both your ways are very viable. Today, what I do now are some of both. I do some quiet meditation because I've got now enough education and skill in me to know how to set goals in my time and go through breathing and set the goal of my intent and become coherent in that intent without having to be coached into that place. But it was a long time for me to get there. If you're there, I congratulate you. I don't know your history. Congratulations.
Thank you. What I'm struggling with is when I get out of meditation that I'm back to my old self.
Right. Well, Dr. Joe talks about, and it was a little goal that I had. I would sit down in my meditation. I'd do meditation. Now I'd feel so good. By the time I left my little room here, my little man cave I got here, and walked down the hall of my house, I could feel the stress of my old life coming in. That's how long it lasted when I first started. I learned to make a goal to see how long can I carry this energy with me into my world. I learned to bless the door sills of my house. I would go through a door and bless it. I put my hand on the door sill and I would bless me and the energy room I'm going through. And I did it again and again and again and again and again until my house felt the peace that my meditation has. And I learned to endure, to keep that energy longer and longer. It wasn't a pill I took. It was a progression of effort and intention. That's what I did.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
One of the things that you get coming to this group is you're talking to someone who does this stuff. And I have a light that reflects it. So good. So I find no fault with having quiet meditation if you get the goal. And that goal is to lift your consciousness into that infinite potential and do your intention work there.
Thank you, Ray.
Okay, thank you. Wow, we have been at this for a while now. I'm gonna end the discussion because this is a full time. And I want to thank everybody for the wonderful discussions. AQK, I hope you keep coming. I love your input. And Georgia, my friend, and all the others who contributed. We're just beginning this book. And what we talked about tonight is the amazing goal of this book. And that is to show you convince you, not just you can be convinced intellectually. That's not the project. The project is to convince you to go into that gate and know from experience that you are an energy being, and that we're going to learn to release the things that hold us in survival mind. What a goal. What a goal. And it will change your life. That's why I call this book the Change Me book, because that's the goal of the book. So that you can pick up this book and go, change me. We'll talk about that more in detail. So, okay, I'm going to end the recording, then we'll talk about the upcoming meditation. Thank you, thank you, thank you.